Hello there, welcome to the Your Yoga with M YouTube channel. Fabulous to have you as ever. This 30-minute class is designed for runners basically. So if you run, and this is some really good stretching for before, after, whenever. Even if you're not a runner, this is some really good movement for you to be doing. We've got some really deep stretches, really focusing on the hip girdle, all the legs, the hamstrings, the glutes, the quads, everywhere, and also shoulder, because we quite often tense up our shoulders when we're running. So it's just good to give them a real stretch and a good relax. So those will be the focuses, and I hope you enjoy it. There's also a playlist that goes with this YouTube, and you'll find it in the description below, along with all the socials and all the information. So without further ado, let's just go for it. Enjoy. I'm just going to start by introducing a nice breath technique for you, which you can come back to when you're holding some of these stretches while you maybe feel slightly uncomfortable. Never in pain, hopefully. If you are ever in pain, come back out of whatever position you're in, take yourself to child's pose. But this breath is really good to rely on throughout this practice, and when you're running as well, and just in daily life when you feel a little bit stressed. So I just want you to close your eyes down. Feel tall and long on your back, let your shoulders drop from your ears. Take a big breath in through the nose. Part your lips and let out a big long sigh. Okay. And then just come back to a regular breath, regular rhythm. So I'd just like for you to envision your third eye, so just above the gap in between your brows. However you visualize that, maybe it's a glow, whatever feels right today. And then I want you to picture a triangle shape with the bottom two corners being your nostrils. And really imagine that air that you're pulling in through your nostrils, making its way up to make that triangle. And then as you exhale, it's coming down from the third eye and out the nostrils. So really focus on envisioning that just now. Slow, gentle breaths. Let's take one more. Okay, on your next inhale, I'd like for you to only focus on your left nostril. So feeling that cool air enter the left nostril and making its way to the third eye area. It's quite amazing what your mind can do just trying to focus on one side. Let's take two more breaths. Okay, now bring your focus to your right nostril. Try to really focus on the air coming in. One more deep breath here. And then bring your focus back to the full triangle, both nostrils, big inhale. Exhale through the nose. Fab. You should feel a lot more centered now and a lot more focused, hopefully. And like I said, use that throughout the practice to come back to. So let's get started with some neck stretches. So just let your left ear drop to your left shoulder as you exhale. And have a play around with your chin, move it down to your collarbone and then back up to the sky. There's always little niggly bits that need a bit more attention that we tend to neglect. Let's take one more breath here. Fab. And then let's inhale to bring our head back up to the center. Exhale to drop that right ear to right shoulder. And again, have a play around, move your chin up and down, side to side, whatever feels good. If you find a little spot that needs extra attention, then just linger in it. There's no harm. Just take one more breath. Okay, on your next inhale, bring that head back on up to center, and then place your left hand by your left side on the mat. Inhale and reach that right arm up and over, really opening up the ribs. Try and keep your shoulder away from your ear. Reach through those fingertips and have a play around with your left arm. If you want to come a little bit lower, if you want to stay higher, just use your breath. Close your eyes down if it feels okay. Pull your top shoulder back so as you're still opening up your chest. Okay, on your next inhale, let's sweep all the way over, planting the right hand and reaching our left arm over, bicep to ear, keeping a bend in that elbow and reaching over, opening up our left side, trying to keep our heart open, closing the eyes down if it feels good. Okay, big inhale, sweep back on up. Let's bring both hands behind us. You can have your fingertips facing away from each other or facing towards your booty, whatever feels good. Lean back into those hands, roll your shoulders down and back, squeeze your shoulder blades, bend in the elbows if you need a little bit of an extra stretch, and then push your chest forward. Lean back even more into that elbow if it feels okay. Let your chin tuck if that feels better on your neck, or let your chin lift slightly. I prefer to have mine tucked, but it's just whatever feels good for you. And then close your eyes down again. We'll stay here for one breath. Really push your chest forward, pull your shoulders back. Okay, bring the chest back to neutral and crawl your hands forward. Pull your knees back in together. And let's come round onto all fours. So coming into tabletop, knees underneath our hips, hands underneath our shoulders. Squeeze your core into your spine so you've got a strong back here. Let's bring our hands forward to the top two edges of the mat. And then keeping your hips where they are above your knees, let's sink our hearts down, melting down, opening those shoulders up. And if you want to, placing your chin on the mat or placing your forehead. Depends on what kind of stretch you want here. Try both and then find one that you like. And let's all take a breath here. Okay, let's tuck that chin under if you had it out, really into the collarbone. Start to round your back, pushing your shoulder blades to the ceiling, tucking your tailbone, tucking your chin, and then pushing forward into the hips, unfurling your chin and leaning forward for Sphinx pose. So bringing your forearms down, lifting your chest, pulling your shoulders down your back, letting your hips sink into the mat. Okay, let's release our chest. Bring our hands to underneath our shoulders, tuck your toes, push back up to tabletop, and then push that tailbone high, downward dog. So you're pushing your chest to your thighs, your tailbone's coming high. Let's bend one knee at a time. So bending the left knee and straightening the right, pushing up into that right hip. Such a good stretch. Feel strong in your shoulders here. Squeeze your fingers into the ground. Okay, let's swap over. Bend that right knee, straighten the left, pushing high into that left hip. Okay, coming back to full downward dog. Let's lunge our right leg through in between the hands and drop that left knee. So making sure your right knee is over right ankle. Your hands are planted. Let's just take a few breaths here just to see how our hips are feeling. So have a little wiggle side to side, maybe push back in the hips and then forward slightly, just to have a wiggle and see what we're working with today. Do we need to be gentle or are we up for a challenge? Like, what do we want? And then feel strong in that front foot. Big inhale, sweep on up, fingertips to the ceiling. When you're here, tuck that tailbone under, squeeze your core, and then melt forward, and you should feel more of a stretch down that left front quad. Really try to pull your left hip forward, right hip back. Let your shoulders drop down your back, reach to the ceiling, and then bring your elbows to shoulder height for cactus arms. Fingertips still to the ceiling. Let's inhale and squeeze our shoulder blades, push our elbows back and reach our chest forward. Exhale, elbows meet, tuck your chin, curve your back, really opening the scapula. Well done. Let's bring our hands back down to frame our right foot. Tuck the left toes, pick up that left knee, and then plant your left foot so your toes are facing the long edge of the mat. Let's sweep on up to warrior two. So arms windmill up to a T position. From here, your hips should be facing the long edge of the mat, really opening up that right hip by opening the right knee. So squeeze that knee open, make sure it's above the ankle. Arms at a T, shoulders drop. Now we're not here for strength today, we're here for stretching. So as much as we love warrior two, let's sink a bit lower and then let's really straightening that leg. Let's come into triangle. So reach your right arm all the way as far as you can And then release it down to the right leg, sweeping left arm high, stacking the shoulders, not crunching into that bottom shoulder, pushing away, and bring your gaze to the ceiling if it feels okay on your neck. If not, just keep looking forward or look down to your right foot. Whatever feels good for you today. Just enjoy this stretch. Pull that left shoulder back, really opening yourself up. One more breath here. Okay, let's squeeze that core. Inhale, sweep back on up, arms at a T. Okay, let's windmill all the way back down, bending our right knee. And then hop that left foot in, coming into pyramid pose. So toes are facing to the top of the mat, finding a position that feels good for your legs where you can really feel that stretch. Plant your fingertips on the mat, push your right hip back, left hip forward, and breathe. Let your head be heavy here if that feels good. You should feel a deep stretch in that right hamstring. And if you want more, maybe in the left leg, then bring that left leg back a bit. Just have a play around and see what feels good for you today. If you want more in your right leg, you could even lift your toes to the ceiling. If you need a block here, bring a block in at the inside of your right foot. One more breath here. Okay, let's release that front foot if you had it lifted. Plant those hands, bend the knees. Let's step back to downward dog. And then let's do the other side. So lunging that left leg on through, lowering the right knee, low lunge. Take a minute here again. See how you feel on this hip. There's always one that feels a little bit different than the other. Forwards and back maybe, or side to side, or maybe a big circular motion. Okay, let's big inhale, sweep our arms on up, squeeze the core. Make sure that front knee is over ankle. Let's tuck our tailbones, squeeze your core, drop your shoulders, fingertips to the ceiling. Okay, let's go for cactus arms. So elbows come down to shoulder height. Let's inhale, push your chest forward. Squeeze your shoulder blades, push your elbows back, really opening up. Exhale, bring those elbows together, tuck your chin, really opening up the scapula. And then releasing hands down to the mat to frame the left foot. Well done. Let's tuck those right toes, lift the right knee, plant the right foot so those toes are at the long edge of the mat. We're sweeping up to warrior two. Big inhale, windmill those arms up, arms at a T. Let your shoulders drop. Squeeze that left knee out of the way. Hips come round to face forward. Oh. Okay, one more breath here. Sink a bit deeper. Then straighten that left leg. Reach your left arm over. Reach, and then release it down to leg or to block. Bringing your right arm high, reaching for the ceiling. Stacking those shoulders, pulling the top shoulder back to open you up even more. Breathing here. Staying strong in that bottom shoulder. You've got this. Okay, on our next inhale, let's sweep up, squeeze the core back to a T. Windmill those hands all the way back down to that left foot, coming back to lunge. Hop that right foot in a little bit. We're coming into our pyramid pose. Both feet planted, toes all facing to the top of the mat. Push your left hip back, right hip forward, bending the knees if you need to, and then fall forward. Let your head be heavy. If you need a block here, then go for it. You should feel a really good stretch. Have a play around, move your hips until you feel that really deep stretch in your left hamstring and even in your right. Breathe here. Think of that triangle breath. Oh. Try and find somewhere to relax. Maybe your jaw. Let's take one more breath. Okay, bend both knees, push forward slightly, and then bring both feet back. Downward dog. Now let's see how our hamstrings feel after that. So bend your left knee, push your right hip to the sky. Can you feel a bit more of an opening? Breathe, one breath here. Okay, let's swap over, bend the right knee, push that left hip to the sky. How does that feel? Okay, come back to neutral. Let's bring our knees wide, toes together. Coming down onto our knees, sinking our hips back, heart comes in between the legs, arms extended overhead. Release your forehead to the mat. Maybe give it a little massage, rocking your head from side to side. Let's take a few breaths here. Okay, let's breathe on up to tabletop. Tuck those toes, downward dog, tailbone comes high. And let's just walk to the top of the mat, keep those knees bent. Forward fold here. Let your arms, your head, your shoulders just be heavy. Give your head a little shake. If you want to, then hold your elbows, have a little rock from side to side in ragdoll pose. Feel your back ribs open as you inhale. A big exhale as you relax. And let's inhale to roll on up super slowly, letting our arms be heavy, and then bringing them wide and high as we reach the top. Palms meet overhead, and then exhale, bring them down the center line to Tadasana, mountain pose. And let's step our left foot back. So we're in a wide-legged stance with all toes facing the long edge of the mat. We're going to go for a wide-legged fold here. If you would like a block, then place a block in the center. Hands at the hips. Feel tall and long in that spine, let your shoulders drop. Pull your crown away from your tailbone. Let's hinge at the hip really slowly, keeping that length in your spine till you get to halfway. Try and stay here. Push your tailbone high. You should feel quite a good stretch on the inside and the back of the thighs. Try and bring your heels a little bit further out of the way. And then let's release our hands to block or to floor and try and push our chest even closer to the ground. Tailbones really reaching for the ceiling. Breathe here. Okay, and then crawl your hands to your left leg, really opening up that right lower back, pulling your shoulders down to the leg. Focus on that triangle breath. One more breath here. Okay, release the hands back to the center or the block, and then let's come around to the right leg to open up that lower left back. Push your left hip back and away. Pull your left shoulder to the foot. You've got this. One more breath. Okay, let's come back to center. Release the twist. Bend the knees slightly. Bring your toes out the way. Let's bring our hands to hips. Squeeze the core to lift yourself on up. So we're in a bit of a goddess squat. Let's bring our palms to our kneecaps. Let your shoulders drop down your back, tuck your tailbone. Push your knees out the way and then bring your left shoulder to the center, pulling your right shoulder to the ceiling, twisting that torso and pushing your knees away from each other. This is a really good thigh and hip opener. Sink that left shoulder even more. And then inhale, release. Exhale, other side, pushing those knees away. You've got this. Feel your feet plant into the ground. Sink lower into the squat. One more breath. Okay, let's straighten those legs. Come back up to wide-legged stance. Let's heel toe those feet in to just wider than hip distance. Toes out the way, heels in. We're going to come down into Malasana, Hindi squat. So hands together at heart center, drop those shoulders, and then sink your tailbone down as you bend at the knee, bringing the backs of your thighs all the way to the backs of the calves if you can. Just come as far as feels good. Plant those heels if you can. If not, it's okay to be on your tippy toes. It's just a bit harder for you. If you want, you can bring blocks underneath them so you can relax a little bit into that. Okay, bring those elbows to the inside of the knees. Have a little wiggle, get comfy. Tall, long back, shoulders down. Squeeze your hands together to push those knees out even more. Then inhale and lift the hands so as there's less space. Exhale and push down. Let's do 3 more pulses like this. Inhale, release. Exhale, push them open. Exhale, release. Inhale, push them open. Exhale, release. Inhale, push them open. This is so good for our hips. Stay here, roll those shoulders down your back. See if you can release your elbows and keep your knees where they are. Can you do it? Squeezing those knees out, really working the glutes. Let's come back. And then let's plant our hands. Bring our tailbones high, forward fold. Heel toe your feet back into hip distance. Let your head be heavy, let your back ribs open. Let's have a little stretch here. So bringing your right foot behind into the left of your left foot. From here, let's bring our hands round to the left as far as they come, and then push into that right hip. It's a really good opener for our sides. Come back to that triangle breath. Come back to the affirmation. You've got this. You've got a slight bend in that left knee, just to help support you and help increase the stretch. Let's take one more deep breath in. Big exhale. And then let's release back to the center with the hands and bring the foot back to underneath our right hip. Let's go for the left side. Left foot comes to the right and behind of our right foot. And then bring those hands around parallel to the short edge of the mat, bending into that right knee, pushing into that left hip. Just do whatever feels good for you today. If it's too much, then release a little bit. If it's not enough, then push even more. Let your shoulders relax here. Let's take 2 more really deep breaths. Your body is thanking you for this, trust me. Okay, let's release our hands back to the center and release that left foot back to underneath the left hip. And let's sit our bums down on the ground and we'll do a cow face pose. So this isn't always easy, so I'll give you some variations. So for all of us, we'll have our left knee in the center, so kind of in line with our belly button, and our left foot round at our right hip. If you want a bit of an easier option, you can plant your right foot at the side of your left thigh. So a nice little stretch here for your glute and for your hips. And then you can twist round from there. So holding on to your right leg with your left arm and twisting your right arm back. If you want a little bit more, bring your right foot to the left thigh, but then stack your knees on top of each other, bringing your feet wide. So it's called cow face because your toes are meant to be the ears. So the wider your toes are, the deeper the stretch is. But make sure both seat bones are planted nice and firmly wherever you are, whichever stretch. And for this one, we'll go for a little bit of a forward fold if you can. If you want, stay here or do the twist here. And if you want more, then come to a forward fold. This is really an intense stretch, so breathe through it and really use that breathing tool that we did at the start of the class. We'll take a few breaths here, really open up and get deep into those muscles. Close your eyes down if it feels good. Okay, whether you're forward folding or twisting, let's make our way back to center, upright. Let's unravel those legs, bring your feet planted on the ground, knees bent, and let's do windshield wipers. So just let your knees fall to the same side a few times, just letting your hips ease out. So really deep. Also giving our bums a little massage here, which is quite nice. And let's go for the other side. So wherever we're heading, we're all bringing our right knee to the center, right foot to left hip. And then either way, let's plant our left foot at the right thigh. Grab hold of that knee if you'd like and twist the left shoulder back, or stack those knees coming into cow face pose, planting both seat bones, toes facing away from each other, and following with that twist round with your left hand behind you, or releasing forward for for a forward fold, making sure that both seat bones are staying planted as you lean forward. Wherever you are, find some part of your body to relax, maybe your jaw, maybe your shoulders, maybe even your hips, maybe you're feeling tension in them, and if you just relax into them, the stretch will go even a little bit deeper, if that's even imaginable. But just find somewhere that you can release the tension and then come back to your breath. Close your eyes down. Stay here for another few breaths. Let's take one more deep inhale here. Breathe all the way into your glute. Big exhale. And wherever you were, let's gently make our way back to center. Let's unravel those legs. Plant your feet on the ground. Windshield wiper those legs. Enjoying this feeling. Let's do some half happy baby. Making your way onto your spine. Lowering those shoulders to the mat. Feet planted, knees bent. Let's pull our knees into our chest. Have a big squeeze. Hug yourself in. And then bring your palms of your hands to your kneecaps and straighten your arms. So for half happy baby, it's quite a deep, intense stretch for our hips. So if you'd like to just do full happy baby and you're aware, you know what that is, then just go for it. That's just both legs, knees into the chest, arms on the inside, soles of the feet to the ceiling, keeping that tailbone low. If you want to come with me and do half happy baby, which is a bit more intense, extend your left leg out, heel to the ground. We're going to pull that right knee to the side, so pulling it out to the right, and then reaching for that sole of the foot, so either palm to sole of the foot or peace fingers to big toe. Pulling the heel back towards the knee and pushing through the tailbone back to the ground. Now use your elbow on the inside of your right knee to push that even deeper, and really drive that knee into the ground. If you feel unbalanced, then extend your left arm to the side just to even you out slightly. Again, let's close our eyes down. Breathe here, let your shoulders drop down your back. Really good hip opener here. Let's take 3 more really deep breaths. Okay, let's release that right foot, plant it on the mat. Plant your left foot on the mat and then extend your right leg. Unless you're in full happy baby, just stay there, have a rock. Pull that left knee into the chest, grab a hold of the left foot, and then pull the left knee to the ground, to the outside of your torso. Take your time to get comfy here. It's important that we're not hurting ourselves. And then reach that heel of the foot to the ceiling. Push that left knee out the way. Extend the right arm to balance you out if you need it. And close the eyes down. Pull that left knee into the ground. Relax your shoulders. Focus on that breath. Your legs and hips are going to feel epic when you're next running. Or if you're like me and you don't really run, they're just going to feel epic in general. I wish I was a runner. It's just not for me. I'm sure I'll come to it in life. One more deep breath here. Okay, let's release that foot, plant it on the mat in any way that feels good. And then let's pull both knees in for another little squeeze. Squeeze them into your chest, big cuddle. And then release them out. Extend those legs if it feels good. Let's come into Shavasana. So just find a really comfortable position. We'll just have a short meditation here. Let your shoulders drop down your back. If your back doesn't feel supported in this position, then plant your feet, bend your knees, and let your knees fall into one another. This can feel a bit more supportive on the back. But whatever feels good, take up lots of space. Close your eyes down. And just take a few breaths here. Big inhale through the nose. Big exhale through the nose. Let's take 2 more really big breaths. Nice controlled exhale. 1 more. And then just come back to your regular rhythm. And try and release any tension you feel like you're holding. Let it all wash away. Let your legs roll out the way. Let your arms melt down, your shoulders supported by the ground beneath you. And let the back of your head relax. Let your chin relax, maybe sinking down into your neck. And then come back to your breath. And let's have a big stretch. Let's reach our arms overhead. Stretch every muscle all the way from the fingertips to the toes. Maybe lifting and pushing your glutes up to the sky and then melting with a big sigh into the mat. And then gently and slowly taking your time in whatever way feels good to come back to sitting. Whether that's coming into fetal position first and then making your way up. Let's all meet in an easy sitting position with our hands back on our knees, palms facing up, rolling those shoulders down your back, closing your eyes down. Let's take a deep inhale through the nose and then a long controlled breath out the mouth. Bring your hands to heart center. And let's close the practice by bowing. Namaste. Well done. I hope your whole lower half and your shoulders are just feeling really open and lovely. Come back to this. I also have a general hip opener YouTube video, which is really good for runners. So check that out. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Like and comment and subscribe and find me on socials. Everything's in the description box below. There's lots of updates on live classes, Zoom classes, outdoor classes, and more YouTubes that are coming your way. So yeah, I hope to see you soon. Lots of love. Have an amazing day.